Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting Propagandacast with me, your host, Imperial Dane, Master Propaganda, Hero of Sight, Defender of the Fatherland. We're off here to our 1 vs 1 on Crossroads to the north. We got Zodiak fighting here for America, freedom, and democracy, taking on the role of 3rd Armored Division, tasked with clearing out some crouch under the command of Dots. Fighting here for the Wehrmacht, Germany, Deutschland, Das Reich, taking on the role here of the 111th Panzer Brigade with mechanized, lightning wall, and mobile offense, storm panzer bulletins, and double mortar bulletins. Hello. Versus armor, tactical support, and heavy cavalry, triple infantry. So a mix of sort of less common doctrines versus, well, pretty much sort of very common doctrines, though we all know he's likely going to go for this one. I mean, some go for armor, but tactical support has rather been falling off. There are occasionally some go for the Sherman Calliope, but overall this doctrine is just sort of dropped off a cliff. We got a bit of tank traps going up, preparing ahead there. We got big eastern push there from Zodiak here, whereas we can see sort of the dots spreading out west and centre. A bit more risky as the Wehrmacht, the enemies, the Wehrmacht, you want a more focused start, can sort of easily have the different elements supporting each other. In this case, it's not really dot start at all, so this is somewhat risky. Zodiak there now beginning to spread out a bit more aggressively here. We got double rifleman up for him. One re-echelon score with more grenadiers on the way there for Dots and the 111th Panzer Brigade. Riflemen sitting out there. Pioneers will soon be set upon by the Americans there. But in this case, pretty much it up so you can more effectively use the howitzer because there's going to be no immediate effective cover for the enemy. Bit of shooting here. Rifleman versus Grenadiers. The M1 go around, so they get the jump, but the Grenadiers quickly force them back here. Obviously a pretty good position to have since there's not a lot of actual covers. If your opponent holds here and you try to move in there, you're going to take a lot of fire, you're going to take a lot of damage. Rather than moving westwards. So we can see sort of here in this case the slightly unfocused start from Dots did rather have the disadvantage of allowing his opponent to secure the fuel point here and hold on unless he actually, commits a larger force, but at the same time he's committing more to the centre. So that's a bit risky there for Dots, to put it mildly. If his opponent out-checks him, Dots could get very disadvantaged. In the west, they're rather than hitting the other fuel points. So in this regard, Zodiac could soon be setting up for a very sort of aggressive tech rush there against Dots, and hit him with something very unpleasant. Dots in the meanwhile going for more grenadiers, more stout German infantry up here for a bigger push against Riflemen. Looks like though he's actually trying to set up for a bigger flank, which is a bit rare. Most people don't consider there's actually a large sort of field in the east where you can actually try and outmaneuver your opponent. So Dots is actually one of those few people who are aware of this. This is actually good. Again, it usually indicates there's something going on up there in Berlin. No, in the player's mind. I mean, again, some players just tend not to sort of consider the whole spectrum of terrain available to them. Again, just tend to sort of work in the shortest lines possible. Usually the players can sort of realize other paths. It tends to also be the ones I find to do better for the most part. But there you go. Now we got a big assault here again. He's launching a fully concentric assault here from south sides. Pioneers coming from the rear. Grenadiers attacking from several sides as well. Overall, nicely executed assault here by Dots. Very nicely executed assault there. Thumbs up. The only way he could have done that better if he'd brought up a mortar and laid down a smoke screen beforehand. Meanwhile, we can see both players are actually bringing up mortars of their own now. Rifleman setting up. Rifleman down the west side. Troops reinforcing him. We've also got tech up there for Zodiac. The Lieutenant here again. The Lieutenant has become very popular now. Very popular. Like, everybody loves the Lieutenant. Hey, it's me, Lieutenant Ray Raymond. Everybody loves me. Except the Germans. They hate my guts. For very obvious reasons. Rifleman under fire from the MD-42. 1,200 rounds per minute there going in their general direction. Rifleman opening up there against the MD-42. Almost got the fuel point here. Pioneers scouting ahead as the rest of the force. And we got more tank trap bar wire antics there from Zodiac. Got the mortar moving up there. The M1 81mm. Which was, I think, roughly the heaviest mortar the Americans actually had, as a fun fact. It also meant organisationally it was slightly sort of on a different level than what the Germans had. It was sort of higher organised. On the other hand, they did have the 60mm mortar more easily available to it, so a lower infantry squads, which is what the Germans didn't have. On the other hand, they rather had a 50mm mortar sort of on the squad level at one point, or was the platoon level, which was actually phased out when they introduced the 120mm mortar, but of course it did mean they had overall mortar in some ways on a personal level. But enough about that. We got a big push here again. Rifleman slightly flanking in there. But without grenades, this is a bit more risky the way he's doing it. In this case, going to quickly focus him down. The Lieutenant Though, of course, in this case, without sufficient support, it's not quite working out. The lieutenant can still lead a lot of firepower. They're going to rifle near get up close as well. But the infantry joins here, ultimately salvaging the central engagement there for Dots. Of course, he had to give up the centre in the process, but I would say the centre is less worth than the eastern field point, so he made the right call here. Zodiak following up with the anti-aircraft half track. Dots building a bunker. He's also got the tech for like to make a nice copy set to go. They've got rapid push straight here for the mortar. They've got not in the effort, which again has got 2, bulletins for extra accuracy, meaning it's all going to be these are for one auto-fire and the other one's just fire accurately, so I'm not entirely sure that applies where, but overall means it's going to hit more, which is pretty good. But there you go, rather than hot in pursuit, got Sandbags over to protect the core point. The problem is there's no infantry to actually do it, so it doesn't really work out there for them. Though, of course, the mortar can immediately begin firing on the riflemen, knowing pretty much where they are. Like to make a nice company up here. We got Gunners moving back on the west here. No light machine guns for him, and certainly no sign of doctrine here from either player as of yet. Quickly setting up position here, avoiding the mortar bombs, also preventing him from just taking the point east. Of course, the house could be smoked or mortared, so it's not all that. Great plus, of course, the sandbags here minimises the effect of them in the house anyways, and again supported by the mortars. So, on the other hand, the American mortars getting to good work there on their grenadiers, doing quite a bit of harm there on Dot's men in the East Tech grenadiers with the light machine gun there and the heavy machine gun there supporting it, doing quite well there. Grenadiers push back due to the presence of the American mortar, landing quite a few nasty hits there. And half track also moving up there, pioneers with support rather than being pushed out of the house. Too much for the Germans, ultimately calls it retreat. Oh, actually open up a gap here in theory. You could actually begin now firing down on the Germans here. Since that is one feature about Companies 2, but which there isn't actually any sort of real way of really sort of being able to tactically exploit deliberately. That is, if you create a gap in a house where there's otherwise none, you can actually use that to fire out of. In fact, I think we talked a lot about it in Companies 1, doing some of the earlier stuff. The thing is, even then, there was no way of sort of, actually tactically making holes in the walls easily. Which is always one of those things that sort of struck me as a bit, But anyways, small detail there, small detail there. I figured that might interest some people. I mean, it would be great if there's some kind of, actual feature maybe in Companies 3 we could actually then make those gaps in the houses, maybe at the cost of a bit of structural strength, but, who cares about that if you can actually sort of use the house more efficiently for a defense. Got a Pack 40 on the way there for Dots to help deal with the anti-aircraft track. Overall, Zodiak in very much in control. At this point, I would certainly strongly recommend Zodiak going either for heavy cavalry or armour company here, either to call an assault units to begin fortifying, or use the rifle and field defences to begin fortifying. Either way, it's got a large chunk of the map here, so beginning to dig in would be a very sensible choice here for Zodiak. Fighting position, sandbags, mines, you name it. But right now, he's taking a bit of territory, he's doing a bit of digging in, but it's at the same time nothing sizable, and even though it's just over here. The rest of his forces is basically doing nothing, and this is time that could be spent, digging in with defences. We got BARs up here as well, increasing the firepower of his men. And Pack 40 there being pulled around, carted about there, going to be setting up for a counter-attack there. Pack 40 hanging about, MD42 carting the core point from another counter-attack there from Zodiak. Pioneers being up in the west, going to be advancing up there, so we've got more light machine guns out here for Dots. Here's they're getting shredded. There we go. Rifle contact going in. The Gunners here will struggle with that. A level of firepower unless the shooting focus on down. And particularly need to focus down the more wounded rifleman. Doesn't look. Oh, it looks like his time. There we go. Hand half track moving in straight for the Pack 40 here. Shooting suppress button there. Go. Good hit. Good hit. Ultimately, though, it does collapse here. Dots assault. The half track simply does too much damage then in a too short amount of time there. Plus the rifle and the BARs. The MD42 helps protect the rifleman or the Gunners on retreat from the rifleman, but not quite there, not quite there. The West Gunners standing about here, rifleman hanging about behind a series of wrecked cars, and we got the ambulance on the way for Zodiak. Gunners moving up the eastern side there. Lieutenant moving ahead. And we got a smoke screen on the central core one around the MD42 sectors. Very good work there by Zodiak. The other hand, he's not actually exploiting it, so the usage of the smoke seems a bit tactically curious, unless he's just doing it to, frustrate his opponent and make him, confused a bit, maybe pressure him just by saying, I'm going to attack you now, you best get out of my way, just constantly applying psychological pressure using smoke, which is actually a tactical approach I've never really seen, but, could actually be interesting, I think, if applied properly. In this case, though, German mortar catching the American mortar and doing a bit of damage there for the fatherland. More Grenadiers here. No Panzer Grenadiers for Dots, by the way, and certainly no Doctrine yet for either player. He's regained the fuel pond for the fatherland. After that being fixed up, the M15A1. Pioneers versus Riflemen there. And there we go, Grenadiers advancing. A lot of LMG-42s there. Lieutenant out in the open, and he is quickly dispatched there with a few well-placed shots. Nothing further still going on there for Dots. Riflemen there, holding out the Pioneers. While the Grenadiers are in there to deal with it. House collapses. In this case, I'm reasonably sure he just did it to deny the house to Zodiak since he doesn't want to use it anymore. In the east here, Rifle being helped up by Grenadiers 74 troop. There we go, another rifle squad flanking up behind the M42 here. Good work here, good work. He could consider laying on the smoke screen himself, but it looks like he isn't. Rifle getting gutted. And the west here, what riflemen were there to stall. Dots advance there is quickly routed. There you go, deep flank here, but the rifle, by the way, good move there, good move. Nicely realised as well. And he's got grenades too. Excellent, excellent. But in this case, he's getting too caught on the Pack 40. Should be prioritising the MG42 before it begins turning around in his riflemen. Oh dear, that was a tactical error there of the greater ones from Zodiak. I mean, he could have run straight up to the MG42 and grenaded it. Instead, he ends up being caught up there. So, nice start there. The problem is he got sloppy around there, got caught up in the Pack 40 and just forgot, you know, he was actually trying to stop the machine gun. Hey, what were we doing here? I think it was something with a machine. Oh, get down. You know. Remember, eye on the ball. In particular, that ball is a machine gun that fires 1,200 rounds per minute. That's usually the kind of ball you really want to keep your eyes on. Oh dear, Captain got wiped. The bazooka dropped here, secured by the Grenadiers. What does it say on it? I think it says made in China. Really? Yeah. I don't know what anything made said though. Point there being secured. Mortar fire against the lieutenant. Got mortar moving up there as well. American mortar. After that being repaired slowly. Quick rifle grenade. The grenades need to fall back pretty schnell. Well, it might be too late to retreat now. We got lieutenant moving up against the retreat path. BAR and Thompson and everything. In fact, he has also double barred the lieutenant. Very good move there. Very good move again. Some players neglected, but it does seem to increasingly catching on with a lot of the American players. You know, double bar the lieutenant. Grenadiers don't get. Nope, he got him wiped. Just right at the entrance, so that was a bit lucky / unlucky, depending on perspective. Either way, though, the wipe happened. So they're quickly replacing them. I mean, in fact, he's only gone for the lightly mechanized company for a single pack. So far, there's been nothing else out of that building, which does strike me as a bit odd. Again, no Panzer Grenadiers, no half-techs, 2-2s or nothing. No tech about it, despite having the resource. You know, you could go for medium armor, but now here goes Zodiak. And Zodiak has gone from the captain into the battalion command post. Zodiak alternate armor chain still in control, but he's still not, you know, made a doctoral choice and certainly make no again real attempt at, you know, digging in. I mean, again, we got a lot of the map there. A good idea is just, you know, try and, you know, fortify it. Dig in. Make it harder for the opponent to take it back. Second pack 40 here, which could indicate he's planning here for a Tiger. At this stage, that seems rather foolhardy. Again, he's going to be quite far off there from it. And it's that he's actually planning the tier 4, in which case getting the pack 40 does make sense, but at which point he really needs to begin taking up for it fast. I mean, you know, tempo, tech, can't diss it about there, just, you know, waiting for it to automatically happen. It won't. You have to, you know, put some effort into it, and so far there's not that happening. So we'll have to see though if he's actually planning it. But again, he needs to be bloody faster about it. Right now he's just too slow. Modifier there, cover shattered. Well, more like dispersed. More fire there, Rifleman. Oh, quick get a wipe there for the return for the Grenadiers. Lost, and there we go. Rifleman annihilated. Bit of loss, but there you go. We got a grenade off the palm grenade, and oh! Almost got the Grenadiers wipe return there. Nasty hit there. Good throw there by Zodiak, and this time though, Dots had a bit of luck with him. That was a very nasty grenade there, certainly highlighting why it is pretty potent. Troops are healing, reinforcing. Still no tech up from Dots. What is he doing? What is he doing? We also got a more forward ambulance here for Zodiak. Half-tech moving ahead again, going for the cough bomb there, Rifle attacking as well. Double pack fortress moving about. Still no takeout for Dots. Smoke screen down here. Several smoke screens to protect himself against a counterattack from here. And he's protecting himself from a counterattack from there. So very nice sort of layered smoke there by Zodiak. Of course, there's still a moment here. And of course, there's also the mortar, which doesn't particularly care about the smoke. And of course, in this case, the flank is quickly followed by the half. Oh, he could have tried popping a grenade there, but then again, that might actually take him too long there, and he might have lost the rifle squad there. So I think he made the right call retreating in that department. It's also getting pretty close to be able to call in the Sherman tank here, or Scott, and Dots really isn't taking up there. He really needs to take up again. Whatever he's planning, I mean, if he's planning for a target, that's not going to work out. He needs to, and again, if it's on other tech, just tech Dots, tech. You have the resources, you got the fuel, you got the manpower, just get there. And there goes Zodiak bringing up a tank here. Just going to the east side of the half track, having the definite advantage of the Gundiers. They cover ultimately for naught in the face of heavy anti-aircraft fire. If you can take out an aircraft, you can certainly take out a bunch of wood and a tractor, which I suppose is what you could call most aircraft during the World War period. A bunch of wood built around a tractor. Very fast tractor, I suppose, but you know, still a lot of wood primarily. I think they were actually made from. At least some of them were, others not so much. But you know, again, not much of a difference. Sherman on the way there for Zodiak. Actually, I might be thinking too much of World War I aircraft that were primarily made of wood, actually. Never mind. Then I got that one mixed up. Still, Dots, they're having some impact here on Zodiak. Having some impact, and still not teching up. Come on, man. Get to it. Pedal to the tech metal. Oh wait, Sherman up. They're switching on tight close around. Not exactly worried about enemy armor at the moment. And we've got a doctoral choice here. It is mechanized for Dot and the 111th Panzer Brigade. And he calls in the command tank. At which point he's clearly indicating he wants some kind of tech, but he just isn't going for it, which is the big why. And honestly, if he just teched faster, he could probably have had something up better than the command tank by now. I mean, he's really been dropping the ball there. And it's, again, it tends to be sort of one of the bigger issues for a lot of Wehrmacht plays. They tend to be not that efficient in the whole teching department. It's really one of the areas they need to improve upon. I mean, they can do a lot of things, but apparently they can't tech very well. Spotting scopes in the command tank. Sherman setting out there. Going straight into the base, going to need to get away there. Pack 40s are positioned in such a way they cannot assist. Need to get the. Oh, I lost the Grenadier squad. Too slow there for Dots, too slow. Still no tag up. Again, what he is doing right now, planning more specifically, is a bit beyond me. Command tank going to hit the MG. That's like the 5th cover under fire. That is an MG as well. But I was about to say MG42. So obviously, you know, not quite the machine gun I was about to say. Anyways, mortified against command tank, had no real impact. Then the actual war might actually have at least some impact, since most tanks' top armor was pretty, you know, weak. Although they did try to work on the Panzer IV, you know, with top armor to actually strengthen it there, and of course that still made it also a lot bloody heavier. Honestly, you know, had a lot of impact. But there you go, 50 caliber down, and they're supporting. Pack 4 dropping down the Sherman, they take down half of quick. Oh, he's not fast enough, he's going to get knocked out, he's going to get knocked out. Oh! He's going to use the tank there to spot for the packs. Wiping the Sherman there. Zodiak completely caught off guard here by the pack frontier. Supported by the Feds, Panzerwagen. Now Grenadiers pushing ahead here. Catching, I think Zodiak goes pretty badly here. And still no take up. Come on, Dots, get to it. Germany demands technology. Still, that definitely, I think, had an impact there on Zodiak. Got his Sherman, which he does, you know, make good effort towards getting. It's still no chance against the Panzerabwehr Kanone 40. And there you go, quick work on the command tank, the Feds Panzerwagen. Was not too uncommon to see older tanks used as command tanks by the Germans. So, for example, even some of the SS divisions fighting in Normandy had Panzer IIIs to actually command their units. Though they were generally sort of higher up the levels, not, you know, for example, something in the platoon level. It happened more like, you know, battalion level, regimental level, maybe company level. But you know, just a quick note there. Let's take a nasty hit there from the mortar. Literally 6 kills. German with only 9 kills. And there you go, Grenadiers. Ah, they barely made it out of there. Small push up the eastern side with the Major, moving out there, and finally taking out there. I mean, honestly, at the 20-minute mark, he could easily let us a heavy Panzer Corps up. By now, he'd specifically aimed for that one, so not really efficient there by Dot. Not really efficient. There's definite room and need for improvement. Command take hit running cover there for the retreating mortar crew. And support for the advancing Grenadiers. All in one. Before slowly advancing.
The enemy is taking our territory.
Take up there for Zodiak. So he was in fact planning the heavy Panzer Corps, which again could have been done sooner and more efficiently there. So that's definitely less well done there by Dots. I mean, it's nice to see some, you know, aiming for tier 4, but, you know, again, it very much requires, you know, proper tech, speeds and all that. Actually, that's called in by the Major, almost wiping out the MD-42, and there we go, annihilates it. Bit of loss there for Dots. Overall, the Major's artillery calling certainly has been sort of more and more favoured, seeing a lot of players use it, in fact, some of them just spamming it whenever they can, which is quite tricky to deal with. But it's certainly something there as well to keep in mind, and certainly also worth pointing out. And to take away there for Zodiak, he's certainly wondering what is Dots playing at. Again, he knows he's got some resources, but he's only seen the command tanks, and he has to expect the Tigers. So what exactly is his opponent planning? And lastly, Zodiak so far just bringing up an anti-tank gun, at least sort of going to have some kind of stopgap in case he gets hit by something really bad. Right, push back here by the west, in the west by the Grenadiers. And there you go, punishment against the rifle. You got Grenadiers flanking up here behind by the looks of it. Or might have been an inverted flank. Either way, he could sort of sneak up behind the rifle and that way also threaten the retreat path. Pioneer's right, but he got the MG-42. He's going to need replacement Pioneers. And there you go, grenade as well on the retreat path of it. Tries to steal the MG-42, but that could actually be a mistake there by Zodiak. Could lose the rifle, and then again he's aiming everything on the machine gun. So ultimately, I mean, he still gets to wipe a Pioneer squad, I suppose, but otherwise that engagement seemed a bit slightly fruitless. But there you go, replacement Pioneers, going to get up the heavy Panzer Corps. Will he go for the Sturm Panzer first, or will he going for the Panther first? That's going to be the bigger question, I think, here so far for Dots. Yes, there you go, heavy Panzer Corps up. Troops standing back and reinforcing. Also, fun fact, the Germans had a numerous series of sort of mortar bombs. They also had one, by the way, which was basically a heavier mortar round with more explosives in it, but shorter range for the 81mm mortar. Little fun fact there as well. Would have been neat to actually introduce that one and say still, you know, counterbarrage, just, you know, bigger mortar round for the mortar, just, you know, fire down and then have some extra impact going on. The Germans did have sort of a series of mortars. They also had, you know, some smaller Stummelwerfers, sort of short mortars for paratrooper work. What you'd call a commander mortar nowadays. Little fun fact there. Even more interesting, they actually added some of those in the Ardennes assault campaign, but it never really found its way into the multiplayer, sadly. And for some reason they gave those then Stummelwerfers then access to those heavier mortar rounds, so they actually ended up, you know, having quite the splash. That's a little weird but fun detail there. And to tank and opening up in the Panther 4, good penetrating hit. They're going to moving in with bazooka fire. And there go other squad moving in. Please pull back the command tank before that gets evaporated. Quick grenade there, good use. Certainly grenade usage also, I think, catching on more amongst the riflemen. So there's also certainly also something to be aware of when fighting against your, you know, average American player at the moment. At least the good ones, they will actually try to use grenades. If you're not careful, they can actually get some good damage in. It's certainly very nasty. Plus, of course, it also gives access to the very good M23 smokescreen grenade, which is certainly not to be taken lightly at all. We got the Jackson following up there for Zodiak. Again, he's clearly worried about some kind of big armor there, and that's certainly something to be worried about rightfully. Again, it could be a Panther, it could be the Sturm Panzer. If it's a Sturm Panzer, that's to worry about immediately compared to, say, the Panther, maybe. Of course, depends on how Dots proceeds to handle either of those two. I mean, he handles them poorly, they're easily dealt with. If not, they're quite a pain. But big push here, right into a 50 caliber, and actually gets the kills on them as they're trying to sit up there and could wipe it entirely. Bit of a loss there for Zodiak. Major and Rios was there, both equipped with bazookas, taking fire there from the German mortar. Veteran to 3 now. Zodiak is actually now struggling a bit more with map control versus Dots. Dots setting up a bunker to defend the centre. Jackson almost down for Zodiak. And this was Rifleman, and there we go. Jackson tank destroyer out for Zodiak. Yes, they're being pushed back. And bunker done there, machine guns ready. Lieutenant creeping in there.
The sector has been cut off.
Rifleman setting up. 50 cal joining in. Bazooka drop, but yet picked up there by Zodiak for the men of the 3rd Armoured. And there you go, machine gun back stops at the 50 caliber. Command hanging back. There you go, Jack creeps up there to tank support. And immediately opens up in the bunker. They're deciding to silence it permanently. And there you go, Darso in a matter of seconds. Bit of a loss there for Dots. We got Lieutenant on the fire for the command tank. And there you go, command tank now taking fire there from American anti-tank assets. But there you go, Pack 4 respond. Veterans run from Fates Panzerwagen. Rifle moving up, supported by the 5th Cavalry. Going through a lot of the support weapon very quickly there. Troops being pinned down or murdered. Grenades going off as well. And almost got the Pack 40 there, but doesn't quite pull it off. One Pack 40 there gets wiped. Mortar's actually too far removed here to support his forces there. That's one thing about the American mortar. Now it does need to be much closer to the action to sort of have any effect. Hang on. Cat wants in. The fussy little fuzzball. Jackson, they're taking hits from the Pack 40. Quickly one. Actually, not only one Pack 40. One got the other one did not get recruited, which did, I think, save the Jackson there from a rather high explosive end. And as for White's open top, in fact, what most American tank destroyers were, it was partly just to sort of give them better line of sight, since they could just look around full 360, because they weren't expected actually into close action with infantry, which is also White pretty much machine guns, except a 5th caliber mostly time sort of on the rear end there. You can sort of see, I think, went right about here, which was only really designed to shoot at aircraft and could not be easily aimed at infantry at all. Of course, it also made it a bit lighter. And also just, gave more room, if you will. So a little series of fun fact. But of course, it also meant it really got into a lot of trouble in many ways. If it came under fire from, say, airburst rounds, that would be a problem. Grenades from infantry getting too close, big problem as well. In that regard, there were several issues there. For example, during the fighting in Hürtgen Forest, there were cases where Jackson tank destroyers would pull back due to fear of, well, airburst rounds. Panther on the way there for Dots. Panzerkampfwagen 5. Eastern Field Panzer Cavalry echelons. Sherman firing away. Then he's zooming out the Rifleman. Troop ceiling reinforcing. Command tank being fixed up here. And heavy Panzer Corps got that Panther ready. Mortifier, there we go. Much closer now. Veteran Fleet, which gives him more range for its barrages. Oh, he cancelled the Panther then halfway through for the Sturmpanzer? Make up your mind, Dots. Make up your mind. I mean, you all took ages to get there. Now you can't make up your mind. Come on, Dots. Don't embarrass Germany. Smoke screen down. Zodiak also has finally gone for Doctor. I mean, both players in this case. Well, Zodiak was on, I think that was the latest. I mean, he only chose like close to half an hour into the game. Was, I mean, Dots did have it somewhat in there, but still, I think both players could have done a bit better. But we got more 50 covers on the way here for Zodiak and the 3rd Armoured. He's also got both fuel points. We could, in theory, now try and aim here for the Pershing heavy tank. Would be a bad idea. We got Rifleman pursuing, Lieutenant pursuing the Grenadiers here. Sherman being fixed. Jack's moving out. Jump-on's almost done here for Dots. Command tank moving up, and there you go. We got the Jump-ons up with this 150mm gun. Pitted by machine gun on the way. Jackson trying to get a bit closer there, I think. Fuel point being secured. Command tank jump punch. We're grabbing the center point here. And straight into it with the Sturmpanzer right from the tank of the Jackson Rifle also nearby. Increasing up with that damaged engine. Armor piercing not to be a great choice here, I think, for Zodiak. Just increase damage being done. There we go. Increase the chance of penetrating it. And there we go. Almost got the Sturmpanzer. Almost got it. Jackson shoots, misses. Ah, loses the Jackson to the anti-tank guns. Really needs to keep mind about those. And they can really knock out the Jackson quickly. It's not a tank, it's a tank destroyer. And it's got the hell of a one. Almost got the Sturmpanzer, but lost the Jackson in the process. Not really good trick there for Zodiak. They still got control of the fuel point to an extent in these, but he's certainly, you know, losing control over it. As we got the Panzer going to support here. Wasn't really a big push there. And overall, Zodiak might in fact be suffering from a bit of tunnel vision here versus Dots. Tagging primarily in the centre. Then again, the same could to an extent be said of Dots now. I mean, he's not exactly making any bigger pushes through here or there. So there's certainly an argument to make. Both are beginning to slowly be sort of caught up in tunnel vision here. Trying to flank here the Sherman with a command tank. Big infantry push here. Bit of a blob. Less good. And we got combined arms here, actually boosting the Sherman here versus the tank. Problem is he's not firing armor piercing rounds versus the command tank, so it doesn't matter if he actually has a high rate of fire with the Sherman. The thanks to combined arms. I mean, it's great he's using it, but the problem is none of the shots are going to have a chance of penetrating, and he's not even close to the rest of the things, but also benefited from that combined arm. So, I mean, nice idea, just not very good execution for Zodiak. And again, it's great American players beginning to experiment with it, you know, trying to at least, you know, begin to understand and use it better. It's just, that could have been done better. That could have been done a lot better. Granted, the Americans were in the actual war never that good with combined arms, particularly between arm and infantry. There were some serious issues that sort of plagued them throughout the war. It's neither sort of group trusted the other one very much, which tended to lead to some problems where, you know, one side would quickly retreat if the other one ran into trouble. And the infantry ran into trouble, the tanks would pull away. Tanks ran into trouble, the infantry would pull away. And the general sort of issues with that going through that. I mean, there were attempts to improve, for example, well, you know, at some points, telephones on the back of the tanks that way allowed the infantry to better communicate with the tank crews. But even then, there were generally, I think, issues throughout the war there with tank and infantry cooperation. Whereas again, for the Germans, it was a lot more sort of just part of the nature there, so not so much. Of course, they don't get anything like that, sadly. Troops healing, reinforcing. Preparing for the next big engagement here. Dot's got plenty of fuel, he just can't use it. Spotting scopes and the Sturmpanzer as well. Got the Sherman sitting out there. MG42 gonna use, alright, some sort of flank going on there, but it rather is lacking some of the important elements of flank, which is, you know, any kind of larger force there or any sort of distraction going on here. I mean, it could be a distraction in itself, but it's hard to say so far what exactly the intent is for Zodiak. He's taking fire there from the Grenadiers, Bazooka and the Pak-40 there. Quickly doing a lot of damage to the Sherman. Now might actually threaten a retreat here. Got 50 caliber supporting, but it might not quite be enough. There you go, almost got the Sherman here. Not well. There you go, lost it. Again, you know, a bit of infantry support for the Sherman here would have been pretty great for Zodiak, or a smoke screen or anything. And he even had a doctrinal one there, so that could have been done a lot better. That was essentially a waste of Sherman. I mean, he did get the MG42, but no one in the right mind would say an MG42 is, you know, worth a Sherman, except the Germans. So in that guy, that was pretty much a win there for Doc. There you go, sort of truck through the centre again. Bit of time wasting. These are harassing in the west, but they really should try and have some deeper flanks against the opponent. Bazooka fire there, getting shattered there by the Sturmpanzer. Jackson there about to get knocked by the anti-tank. He's pulled back, so we only leaves one anti-tank now to deal with the Sturmpanzer head on. Mortifiers one there, going to tank and crew completely annihilated. Lieutenant trying to wipe out the anti-tank gun crews here, allowing the Jackson to get close to the Sturmpanzer, but sadly only got one of them. He's even popped combined arms again. It's great he's trying to make use of it. He just needs more things to support it so he can actually use the bonus overall better. I mean, hell, even the ambulance can provide it, by the way. The ambulance can provide it. Of course, that would be a bit ballsy, but still in theory, could have driven up the ambulance support troops as they make the push there, for example, and still get the combined arms bonus. Working on the Jackson. He's getting close to the Pershing, though he is getting close to the Pershing. And Dots here, the really, I think, should try and make some pressure into the west there. Again, try and deny his opponent some of that fuel. Because, I mean, right now, Zodiak is getting a lot more fuel than his opponent's getting 38 compared to Doctor's only 20. Then again, he doesn't need the fuel, but, you know, denying his opponent the fuel would not be a bad thing at the very least. You know, a bit of pressure that way. Maybe trying to, you know, force him to make some mistakes, some awkward trades. Sending no sign of a Panther anytime soon. Storm Puncher there with 11 kills. Right, let's go back to the Jackson there, Zodiac. Be able to cover that easy target for the Storm Puncher, and of course the Mortar that got not in there for. And there's of course they decide to run, in which case they're a much harder target. The big 2 points wise though. Darts is a bit behind Zodiac, but it's not actually by a lot either. Jackson moving up, Gunners on the 5 from the 10, the Jackson and whatnot. Smoke screen down as well. Turning close to the Pershing. I mean, he does have the fuel, he just needs to stay up with the manpower, which means he does, you know, needs to avoid just charging head on into Darts' positions there. But for the reason, Zodiac seems unable to, you know, really comply with that notion. Are you calling me a chicken, McGerman? Was is he saying? I don't know, McGerman. Anyways, here's they're getting blasted. 50 cup running cover, they're closing in veteran defeat. Troops healing. Soonish and reinforcing. Pioneers getting shot in there. Go back to get a smoke bomb down here in front of the 50 cup. That's actually rare to see someone actually using the smoke bombs. I mean, it's pretty much like this one, except less instantaneous, but it's actually cheaper. And sort of covers a larger area in some ways. So, I mean, it's a pretty good ability. It's just rarely utilised, but it's actually not bad. Jump out of the being flanked here by the M36 Jackson. Smokescreen on the Pack 40, not bad. Not bad at all. There you go, harassment in the west. Finally some movement there from Dots, but quickly intercepted by Zodiac spray rifle and retreat forced away there. Machine gun right in front of the Storm Panzer command tank. Unsurprisingly, turns out to be a pretty bad idea there, and the machine gun takes the heavy of it. But getting some good hits from the Storm Panzer, which is very close. Make sure he's using the bunker busting barrage here. In this case, the Bob busting barrage. Almost using the Storm Punch of the Jackson there, but also getting Vetri to the shot sync effects added there. And there you go, Packs opening up there for the hedges. Need to pull back the Jack before he gets lit on fire, like a fireworks display. And a pretty expensive one of that. Again, he keeps, you know, bleeding out manpower, which also delays his Pershing. So, I mean, Zodiac needs to calm down. And again, needs to try and flank and maneuver more rather than just, you know, trying to brute force his way through, because it is clearly not working, and certainly not, you know, helping him towards getting out Pershing, to that way maybe apply some more pressure to Dots, which is again rather than a comfortable position to an extent, because, you know, his opponent just keeps the tank from the same angle into a way he can sort of just minimize the damage actually received. So not really, you know, good tactics there from Zodiac. Again, it seems very much like, you know, a classic case of tunnel vision. Dots to an extent also is suffering from it, but at least he's the one currently benefiting from it, because again, he's not the one that really has to attack, it's Zodiac. At least Zodiac to an extent is using smoke screens, but you know, he will still, I think, ultimately benefit from good flanks. Another MD42 there for Dots. Still no sign of any other armor, no command, no Panthers. I was about to say command tanks for some reason, but no Panthers. And there we go, finally able to call in the M26 Pershing there. Zodiac rolls in the tank. The really big one. Ish. Brum getting hit there by the mortar. Jackson thing up to support the Pershing, not by they had the same gun. That's a little fun fact there. Command tank on the fire from the bazooka. We got the Jackson shooting through the hedges trying to hit it. Pershing coming in support. Smoke's on in the centre. More smoke. Fifth cover there finally. There you go. Passing up pretty close. Getting some hits in. More mortar fire. More death. More destruction. More Germans dying in the mud alongside the Americans. There we go. Almost got the machine gun there, but he does pull away here. Pershing continues to fire with. There you go. Taking hits from the Pack 40. Penetrating hit there for the frontal armor. Machine gun there in the east. Jackson hanging back. Still floating a ton of resources to an extent, but again, it's because he can't use it. Particularly the fuel again, he's just got so much, but it's just an opportunity for him to use it because again, he can defend so efficiently because again, Zodiak isn't very good at sort of combining his elements, for that matter, flanking. But there you go, there finally seems to be happening something there in Zodiac's mind. He is perhaps realizing that the head-on knee attack approach is not quite functional. I mean, if he can deliver some good damage on his opponent, Zodiac would certainly stand a better chance. Of course, as soon as he does that, he might risk getting hit with a Panther, but the current issue is just the current sort of engagement or sort of situation is just not very, helpful for him. It's a slow war of attrition. He's just not really winning. A lot of smoke there in this case. Not quite working out for the Germans. Storm Panther opening up there with another bomb busting barrage. Almost got the 5th cover crew there entirely. 21 kills for the fatherland. Good use of it there. Good use of it. Pershing good to go alongside the Jackson. But again, Earl just seems to attack head on and just get shredded for it. I mean, he just seems a bit wasteful. I mean, he could go for some Scots for artillery support. He could go for pack howitzers. They're pretty good, by the way. Machine gun there finally wiped, by the way. Pack 4 has been neutralized. But again, if he's going to attack like this, you need some more artillery. Could do him good. Maybe another mortar. Or at least some more armor and then a proper flank. But it's just, neither of those things really seem to be materializing here for Zodiac. He could, of course, try and grab the machine gun as well. Grenadiers hanging about in the open here, taking hits from the Pershing, no, nothing grievous, and there you go. Secures the MD-42. They'll certainly harm Dots a bit there. Bigger push from the Grenadiers towards the west. Armor pulling back again. I mean, it really seems like Zodiac is not entirely sure how to handle Dot's current position. It is causing him some grief and consternation. It's rather leaving Zodiac, I think, without sort of a clear plan of action. And there you go, almost got the 5th cover for once. Entirely finished off, but no, it gets away again. Gets away again. Pershing moving westwards, Jackson eastwards, but then moving it backwards. Again, there seems to be some lack of clarity there from Zodiac, a lack of a plan of action. He might be setting up for something bigger here, maybe realize again, just, attacking straight into, Dots' gun line is not very productive. Then again, maybe just decides, his opponent might expect him to think that and just go for it again. There we go. He is so far committing to it once more. He's laying down smoke again, but there's just nothing further going. Got a bit of moon in the west, got a grenade going off there. Grenade going off return. Jackson moving up, Pershing moving slightly westwards. Anti-tank guns not firing because they're wrecked. Pershing slowly advancing here. Could try and move up through here to hit that way in. Jack getting hit, so we go to Pack 4, finding a rifle wiped out, moving up more rifle to support. And annihilated here by this jump onto the command tank command fire. Not good there for Zodiac. The Sugar Dangerous jump hunter taking off some hits there. Lieutenant moving up forward west. There you go, Pershing charging in here. We'll be seeing any of the H-rep rounds from the Pershing, which does more damage and has more penetration. Showing none there from Zodiac, or from Jackson there. And there you go, Pershing taking heavy damage from the Pack 4 to the command tank and whatnot. So again, another not very well executed assault head on. I mean, he didn't use any of his abilities versus Dots, which just really gives Dots, a pretty big edge. So that just felt like another, waste of resources there by Zodiac. And he needs to change his tactical approach. He needs to, wrest control from the tunnel vision, try to outmaneuver his opponent, or at least make better use of his abilities, because on the way he's currently handling it, it's just feeding Dots easy kills. There we go, though. Mortar wipes the entire gun of his squad. Just like that. No mercy. No mercy at all. Picking up the Sturmpanzer. They're very close to Veteran 3, which would definitely be a nightmare for Zodiac's infantry. More grenadiers to replace the ones lost. Still no attempt at a Panther, for example. And Zodiac has also blown a lot of resources. Could go for Sherman, going for another Jackson. I mean, that would help us the armor much more aggressive. There you go, going for another tank there, another Sherman. It's only more of attrition, a bit more of a meat grinder between these two players. Again, initially starting out well, but both falling into a pattern here around the center of the map, with another Sherman on the way there for... Oh, Sherman still one. He hasn't gotten an old first one. But there you go. Pershing taking a hit, stunned by the target weak point there, the heat round. Jackson again, he's still not utilising the H-Rap round. That's definitely a mistake. Certainly not one Dave would commit. You know, he loves... Oh, there you go. He actually pops it. Great. First shot bounced with a bit of bad luck there. Bit of bad luck. So a pretty good chance of penetrating it. There you go. Second shot goes... Actually, I think it missed. And now he's getting hit by the Pack 4. Needs to pull back to the Jackson. But there you go. Penetrating hit. Down to half health. Still forced to fall back with the Jackson. Pack 40 advancing too far. They're trying to flank there. The Jackson... But makes a critical mistake. They're getting suppressed and knocked out with the machine gun. Slight bit of luck there. Machine gun moving back in the east. Did he actually just... Oh, that's a flip cover actually moving up. But all the way, Harass in the east and the fuel point again. Good. And Dots finally bringing up some armor. Here's some more armor. The Panther. Sherman here. Switch your attacks around. It seems like he's ready to commit that same mistake again, which is trying to knock out a tank later on, then with high explosive rounds using combined arms. Let's hope that is not the case there. So far, it's just trying to wreck the Pack 40, deny it to Dots. That's definitely the right approach here, because Dots won't let him have it. Almost got the Pack 40 there entirely wrecked. Smoke screen down. Problem is, it's all been spotted, so it has less effect because Dots is just going to fire everything at that spot. BAR dropped. Jackson good to go. Pershing good to go. Could go for more armor, another Sherman, another Jackson. You could also just consider some Scots for some light artillery support, so that way, you know, single out the support weapons and wipe them out. But there you go, Sherman tank head on. Pershing, Jackson moving up slowly, smoke screen down there, good. Quick pulling back though. Panther advances. The effects per right, spotting scope and the machine gun there. That's nice, then able to fully utilise its range here, getting a good hit down the Sherman tank, good work. Jump punch to there, alternating good in the Sherman, almost getting it there, almost getting it. Panther fast off as well, there we go, almost got it. Gets on the Jackson set, no H-Rap round, but good penetrating hit there on the Panther. Pershing just hanging back and certainly no attempt at using combined arms, so again, increased output from the Pershing, the Jackson, or the Sherman. In fact, the Sherman is forced to fall back. So again, Zodiac needs to work on his attack tactics. In particular, again, he's really, really keen on attacking head-on against Zodiac's defense, or Dot's defenses, which again, are certainly formidable enough to deal with, again, not frightfully well executed attack. It certainly seems like Zodiac is struggling as the game is dragging on. Again, initially displayed some good tactics, but so did Dots, and neither player sort of handling it better as the match is going on there, which is certainly unfortunate. But there you go, another anti-tank gun for Zodiac. Panther there being repaired, which, as a fun fact, was only mildly more expensive to make than the Panzer IV. Another machine gun bunker up there, this time a bit further away from the front line, but to protect the cutoff point. Not a bad idea. The Sturmpanzer is pretty much an ace now, which is bad news for Zodiac's infantry. Very bad news.
We're losing a capture point.
Growing points here and there. Panzer Brigades were primarily, at least initially with the sort of first series, no, I think overall 2 series of the Panzer Brigade supposed to just be equipped primarily with Panzer for the tanks. Later series would have also added Panzers in there. Even more fun fact, they actually took away Panthers that were supposed to be replacements for other Panzer Division's losses, during, for example, the Battle of Normandy. So it gave the Panzer Brigades armour, so in that regard, the Panzer Brigades actually created a bit of an armour shortage. It certainly gave some of the Panzer Divisions problem. Elsewhere, again, there were Panthers that could have gone to the more experienced, you know, Panzer crewmen. Instead, they just handed that to rather inexperienced ones. So that's a bit of another sort of element to the Panzer Brigades. But again, overall, the Panzer Brigades just never really get talked about. But there you go, Steel Panther being hit there by a lot of bazooka rockets bouncing them off. The S-Mines around the centre victory point now. Considering how everything goes off, I think the S-Mines that are a waste. The better to cover the flanks in this case, because here they're just getting hit by artillery. It just set off. So they feel more like a waste there to me. So they need to bring up more armor. Again, just some Scots. And more importantly, he needs to flank. Again, he needs to stop just going straight at it. Again, it's not very efficient. It's very much the advantage of Dot. But there you go, something happened on the right flank. Driving past the wreckage of a burnt up Sherman. Panther opening up. Again, making really good use of the spotting scope. Again, it's got quite a bit of range, as you can notice there. I mean, it has 50 range, which most of the time I won't see. But there it just lands a very devastating hit on the Sherman, pushing it back with its high velocity 75mm gun. The velocity basically showing it did have a high range because again just had more output, but it also resulted in, and that's also perhaps less discussed, it had a high accuracy because again the Western acting much drop off on the shell. So it led to the Panther also being very accurate, which was certainly also an advantage. And of course another element, of course, just having high velocity also just meant more armor penetration. I mean, overall, there was the impact of velocity, you know, and the effectiveness of the gun tends to, I think, get overlooked by a lot, in particular the more inexperienced sort of people in that department, who just only tend to, you know, focus on caliber and not length of barrel, which again results in better velocity. Of course, high velocity then has an impact on, you know, how effective a high explosive shell can be on the other hand, and that's sort of the downside of high velocity guns. It also means the tank is less efficient versus, you know, dark-in units. Because there needs to be, you know, a thicker, you know, shell to actually contain high explosive shells, which of course means there's less room for the explosives. Anyways, pushing back, pushing there again. Zodiak is increasingly getting timid here versus Dots. Again, Dots get very dominant positioning, partly because again Zodiac's allowed it, because again Zodiac's just constantly attacked head on into it. He's bringing up more armor here. I mean, a well-executed assault here with combined arms and some smoke here could possibly unseat Dots if done well, but it really has to be executed perfectly. Absolutely perfectly. Any less, and you know, that's going to end up poorly.
Send your orders. Send your orders.
Reason's almost wiped out. So he's moving up the Steel Panther 4, but he's moving straight into line of fire with Jackson there, fitting into some free experience. Shot fired, missed miserably there, the Steel Panther. Yeah, so as Americans, they can't hit for shit in their paper panzers. Shamler being pushed back. Again, the spotting scope on the Panther, of course, also allows us to see that fire against but just more effectively uses less than 40 in that regard. Spotting scopes are pretty damn potent.
Armor here.
Pretty damn potent. Laying down the smoke screen here, we're taking fire again from the Pack 40 because again, you can see through. But there you go, smoke screen sort of neutralizes it, but now what does he do? He sends in one Sherman alone there again, no support. He's laying down another smoke screen, great, but overall, again, the execution is pretty weak. The Panther moves straight ahead, they're bouncing off shot from the Panthers. Person moving up shoots here at the command tank, so he's not in prioritizing targets. We got the Pack 40, we got combined arms, great, but again, it's just too messy of an assault. There's nothing to actually, you know, keep it triggered. And again, could just, you know, effectively utilize a lot better. Instead, it just ends up being rather spotty. A lot of his armor doesn't benefit from it, and only now that Jackson. Where's the Jackson? It's only first now, but he's at least losing 8 rounds, but overall the execution of this has been incredibly sloppy for Zodiak. And he'd done this probably again, he could actually have, you know, combined arms, on a victory 2, almost victory 3 Jackson with 8 rounds would have been absolutely devastating for Dots' arm, and that could probably, you know, take out a lot, but very fast. I mean, it still ends up doing a lot of damage, but just terrible execution there by Zodiak. Instead, he ended up losing most of his armor, and he effectively did no damage to Dots. I mean, that was a really terribly executed assault there from Zodiak. I mean, again, it was very much a piecemeal attack, which is the worst kind of attack. You don't just send any drops, you sort of have an idea, and then you sort of launch it. And then most again, you start to launch it, you know, do it in waves. You know, attack, move is sort of a good sort of key element to an attack. You're not saying you shouldn't just attack, move, and just let it go there, but it's sort of good move to get the initial parts moving, and then you micromanage the attack that way. I mean, that's what I generally do. I'm not that great on micromanagement. What attack move does is it allows me to just get the initial parts going, so I don't have to constantly man onto everything, and then sort of adjust the course, doing the fighting. And that I think would have done Zodiak here a lot better. But again, instead, what happened was it just one Sherman, then another Sherman, then he decided to move his Pershing, then he decided to move his Jackson, and the infantry didn't follow up them. It was just a complete mess there for Zodiak. I mean, again, that's definitely not how you do an attack. Again, he just, gone in and just adjusted things, popped his abilities in there. I think would have done a lot more damage again. You just smoked in there, rushing his tanks properly. Pershing get in there as well. Combined arms, he could have done a ton of damage up close with the Jackson, just fine way. The tanks drew the fire, but instead the tanks got knocked out separately because again they got focused down. So I mean, really, just not very good assault there for Zodiak. Not very well at all. But again, it sort of is a good example of how not to do it. You can actually see why it falls apart there, because again, it just allowed him to just selectively deal with the elements there, which is not how you want to do a good attack. A good attack causes, shock, confusion, makes you harder for your opponents to react. And there you go, now sends in the Jackson there. Panther blitzes straight after it. That move there by Zodiak, which dots it, pounds with his Panther, gaining virtually too. Armored skirts up, their Pershing going in there. Shot fired, close virtually 2. Could find an 8-trap round there. Doesn't. He actually has to use the 8-trap round on the Pershing. He's using the Jackson, which is good, but not on the Pershing, which is less good. Now getting focused on again here by a lot of armor. Well, in this case, the Panthers are the only real big threat here, since most of the other can't really penetrate the Pershing's armor reliably. And of course the Panther can, and there goes going in there, doing a lot of damage, and just needs enough stand fight range because he's got the best of it. Shot bounce off the Pershing's armor. Oh, he did actually use the 8-trap round. Almost taking out the Panther there, quickly forced to fall back. Range is almost wiped out there, so he did finally call some in. Now it's going to get the Pershing and the Sherman heavily damaged. Calling in Smokescreen, in this case too late. Panther taking full advantage of range. Still Panther shoots. Pack fully sets up as well here. About to get the Pershing there, and oh, Pack gets it. It's little health left there for it. Sherman moving in. Pershing moving there. Sherman missed. Sherman missed by the Panther. Very close 53, and with this, Zodiak gives up. Realising all hope is lost, the 3rd Armament has suffered a bloody nose here in the face of the 111th Panzer Brigade. A brutal battle in some ways, but again, also just highlighting the issues of tunnel vision again. How important it is to launch a good flank when assaulting, or at least some disruption there. In that regard, again, the Zodiak just sort of repeatedly failed to pull off a good assault and just split himself dry. He was able to keep up the fight going because Starts to an extent just was very passive, drawing out the fight, I think, neatness to an extent, but of course also just very poor at teching. Again, tech is very important as well. So had Zodiak just been a better flanker, just better able to coordinate his assaults and also combine up. It's great it utilizes it. It's great. It just needs to utilize it better. So there are some issues there. But overall, in some ways, it's in fact with some learning elements. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed this match. Hope you learned something from it. If you did want to subscribe, tell your friends, share it with everyone. If not, send in a replay of your own, provide some feedback in the comment section. This is Imperial LinkedIn. Cheers. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you tomorrow for another episode. Bye.